We're starting now the Maimer of Vayakhel, Tafshin Yud Beis. It's not a continuation, it's not part of the Mamarim we're learning till now was Tafshin Yud Aleph, but the concepts are the same, very similar concepts. And the Maimer is from Shabbos Mevarchim Nisan, Shabbos Parshas HaChodesh, where the Rebbe is discussing the beginning of Parshas Vayakhel. The Rebbe says how Parshas Vayakhel starts off that Moshe Rabbeinu gathered the Jewish people together. Vayakhel Moshe es b'nei Yisrael vayomer aleim. Moshe Rabbeinu said to them, Eila dvarim asher diber Hashem lasis. These are the things that Hashem spoke that we should do. And the Rebbe asks a few questions. We'll put together at least the points of the questions that the Rebbe is asking on the Psukim. The first question is, why does the Torah tell us here that Moshe Rabbeinu gathered the Jewish people together? Is it because this mitzvah specifically Moshe gathered them together? We know that every single time that Moshe Rabbeinu spoke to the Jewish people, he gathered them. There was a hakala, there was a gathering of the Jewish people. So the fact that the Torah will tell us that Moshe spoke to the Yidden and he told them what Hashem said, that's enough to know that Moshe gathered them together, just like every other time. Which means that there's something special in this specific parsha that the Torah has to begin it with the idea of Vayakhel, with the gathering, with specifying that Moshe gathered the Yidden together. What was the gathering for? What was Moshe Rabbeinu telling them? Eila dvarim asher tziva Havai lases. These are the things Hashem commanded. What are the things that doesn't say what they are? Some Mefarshim explain it means the Malachas HaMishkan. The Mishkan Moshe Rabbeinu tells them about later. That means he's telling them about something else now. What is this something else that he's telling them? And it doesn't say, why doesn't the Torah specify what it is that he's telling them? The simple thing is that the Torah is telling us that he's gathering them together to tell them about Shabbos, about the halachas of Shabbos. Now the halachas of Shabbos, there's other places where Yidden are being told the halachas of Shabbos. Specifically over here in the halachas of Shabbos, we see a few interesting things. Number one is Sheishes Yamim Te'asim Malacha. Moshe Rabbeinu, the Eibishter, tells the Yidden, 6 days work will be done. Now the Mechilta tells us, what does it mean Te'asim Malacha, work is done? Zachu, when the Yidden are in a very high level, a level of B'chol Meidecha, where they're serving Hashem in the highest way possible, then melachtam nases al yidei acherim. Te'aseh melacha, the work is done, others do the work. So the Rebbe says, why is it that as Moshe Rabbeinu begins to talk to the Jewish people there, he's already talking to them about such a high level where their work is done through others? And another question is, why do we say Shabbos Shabbosin? Shabbos is Shabbos. Why say double Shabbos Shabbosin? And moreover, what do all these things have to do with each other? So the basic ideas in the question is, it's obvious that this parsha is talking about something very special. That it's not enough the fact that we know that whenever Moshe Rabbeinu spoke to the Jewish people, he gathered them together, but here there's a special gathering that the Torah emphasizes and brings out that they were gathered. Now the fact that the Jewish people are gathered together is something that we can understand. Based on what we know, it says in Ayayim Yayim, and it says in various places in Chassidus, the Pisgam of the Mittler Rebbe, that when two Jews get together, it's two Nefesh Abamis against one Nefesh Alikis. Which means that if the Torah is emphasizing the gathering, that means there's something very powerful and very important that's taking place here. More so than all the mitzvahs of the Torah, despite the fact that every time Moshe Rabbeinu is talking to Yidden, he gathers them. Here we're emphasizing the gathering as a hagdama, as an introduction to what Moshe Rabbeinu is telling them, because this is such an important thing that we have to know that we're being gathered together for it. What is this thing? It's obviously also something that, although it's not only about the Mishkan, it's not only about Shabbos, it's something general that doesn't even have to say what it is. And specifically, it's talking about either the Mishkan or Shabbos, or specifically about Shabbos. And more than that, in a way that when a person does work, it's done on its own. And then we get to Shabbos Shabbosin, so we have to have also a connection to all these ideas that are here. And so the Rebbe explains the following. According to what it says in Rashi, as well as in the Medrash and Zohar, the time that Moshe Rabbeinu gathered the Jewish people together is Machras Yom HaKippurim, the day immediately after Yom Kippur. Which means an amazing thing. This is the first Yom Kippur. This is right after the Yidden did the Chet HaEgel. Moshe Rabbeinu was davening to the Eibishter that he should forgive them for their sin. And finally on Yom Kippur, Hashem said, Solachti kidvarecha, I've forgiven you. Right after Yom Kippur, right after Hashem forgave them for the sin of the Egel, now they have to learn something. Now they have to be told something special which is connected to the new status that they're in, that they're now clean and cleansed from the sin of the Egel. And so the Rebbe explains the following. We know that the Medrash tells us that at the time of the Egel, the Zuhama, the Tumma, the impurity that entered the Jewish people, which started by the Chet Eitzadas. By the Chet Eitzadas we're told that Ba Nachash al Chava v'hitel ba Zuhama. The Nachash, the snake, the Klippa, placed a tumma, an impurity into Chava. That impurity remained in the world until Matan Torah. Matan Torah, when the Jewish people received the Torah, Pascha Zuhamas, and this tumma left them. Through the Chet HaEgel, the tumma returned. The Zuhama returned to them. And now, by Yom Kippur, the Zuhama is gone. And now's the time that Moshe Rabbeinu is telling them, Vayakhel Moshe. He's gathering the Jewish people together and teaching them how, in which manner they should begin their avodah in the world in order to be misakin, to fix what was lacking as a result of the Egel. And before we continue and talk about how that happens, let's just a little bit be misbainen, and later in the Maimer we'll learn it clearly, in what is the idea of the Chet HaEgel and Chet Eitzadas. The world as it was created in the beginning was a complete place. Eilam al milui nivra. Hashem created a world with godliness. And like we learned in the Maimer of Basi Legani, the Shechina was down here. The Iker Shechina was batachtoinim. When Hashem makes something, it's there in its full completeness. As a result of the actions of man, Hashem's presence leaves the world. There's a zuhama, tumma, an impurity, a place for something other than godliness. The purpose of it is in order that a person should in this place bring down the ultimate real essence of godliness and realize the truth of godliness. What is this expressed in? Two concepts. Chet Eitzadas and Chet HaEgel. Chet Eitzadas, we're told, was the union of Hergish. Feeling. Until Chet Eitzadas, Adam and Chava, who were created, they were the handiwork of Hashem himself. They knew only godliness. There was nothing else that existed in their lives. There was no other reality. There was only the reality of Hashem. When they ate from Eitzadas, they began to have a feeling of an existence. They started to feel themselves. They started to feel themselves and the world around them as a separate entity. When the Torah was given to the Jewish people, the essence of Hashem was given down here into this world so that there is no longer any idea of Hergish, of Eitzadas. The Zuhama, the Tumma leaves. And then as a result of the Chet HaEgel, which is Avodah Zarah, the Chet HaEgel is the Jews then making a chshivas, making an importance of something other than Hashem. That's the Chazra Zuhamasan that brought back this Zuhama. Now Moshe Rabbeinu is telling the Yidden, after the Eibishter forgave them for Chet Egel, that was Yom Kippur. Moshe Rabbeinu is telling the Yidden various ways how to fix this. How to fix the world. How to come to the new and back to the concept and the reality of Elokus B'Pshittus, where the simplicity and the reality is only Elokus. Where there isn't the hergesh of the feeling of something else, there isn't the idea of Avodah Zarah, of accepting and giving oneself over to another existence other than the Eibishter. And Moshe told them various aspects in how to fix it, but the most important one, the one which the Torah mentions here clearly, and that's why the Torah says, Eila Dvarim. Moshe gathers the Jewish people together. They need the koyach of each other. They need the power of the essence of the Jewish people that comes from the oneness of the Yidden. Because they're coming now to fix Chet Egel. They're coming now to bring out the reality of Elokus in the world. But the most important, besides for the Eila Dvarim, these are the things that Hashem says that need to be done in order to fix it. The important one, which is told clearly because that's something which applies for all times, is Sheishes Yamim Te'asem Malacha. 6 days the work shall be done. And as a result, one reaches Shabbos, and not just Shabbos, but Shabbos Shabbosim. What does it mean, Te'asem Malacha? We know that we're told, the Pasuk says in Tehillim, Yigia kapecha kiseicha lashrecha v'tevlach. If you eat the toil of your hands, then you're lucky in this world and it's good for you in the next world. What's the best thing for a person? When his involvement in this world and his involvement in business, his involvement in the Esek HaParnasa, in creating a livelihood for himself, is only in a way that it's kapecha, his hands are involved in it. His head, his inner essence, his seichel, his intellect, his ratzin, his gishmak is not in it. In truth, the Rebbe says, it doesn't make sense that a person should bechlal be able to work. How is it possible that a person should be able to do something other than Hashem? We know that man de machvi b'machai kami malko, when someone's standing before the king and he shows a sign with his hands, he shows some type of existence other than the king. It's the opposite of life. He's not able to exist, to live, because he rebelled, he went against the truth of the king. Hashem is everywhere. Hashem is the only reality. How is it possible that I should go work and do something in order to bring about Parnasa if it's everything's the Eibishter? We know that Lashem Haaretz Umlaya. Everything belongs to Hashem. How can I think that I'm going to bring something on my own? The only reason and the only way that a person can do that is because the Torah told us a mitzvah, and like it says in Chazal, that Sheishes Yamim Tavit, 6 days you should work, is a mitzvah sesei. Hashem told us this is what He wants us to do. But this work, which means all the involvement in the Gashmis, in the physical world, is not something because it's natural, this is what I have to do. Because this is what Hashem told me. And therefore, what did Hashem told me? I put my hands into it, but in my heart, in my mind, in my gishmak, my thoughts and my excitement is lying in something else. It's lying in a lakus, because that's the reality. Hashem told me to do this, I'm doing because Hashem told me, and therefore, even when I'm doing it in a way that it's only in order to serve Hashem. Even while I'm doing it, I'm trying to think, and my whole purpose is in order to serve Hashem. And in addition, it's yigia, it's toil, it's hard work for me, because this isn't where I want to be. This isn't where my chayes is, this isn't where my gishmak is. I do it by force, I'm forced to do it. And therefore it's hard work. And that idea of Yigia Kapecha, therefore also, even while I'm working, while I'm involved in the Gashmias, in the material world, at all times my thoughts are, how can I get another minute into learning Torah and serving the Eibishter? Because this is something which is extra, which is something which is coming to me by force, because this is what I have to do. So not only I'm doing it in order to serve the Eibishter, but even while I'm doing it, it's not where my gishmak is, it's not where my excitement is. My excitement is trying to find how to learn Torah and do a mitzvah.